All right, we are live. Well, the NHL season starts in a few days, and let me switch tabs here for a second. Okay. Yes, the NHL, well, technically the NHL season has already started, but there are a couple of international games. So the real NHL season starts this week. And for those of you that have been watching my channel, you'll know that I've been documenting the connections between the Capitals and the Sharks, who are probably the two most Jesuit teams in the NHL. Again, the Capitals, I've already made more than a couple videos on it, but there's these 17-year cycles or 17-year gaps. And we know 17 is important because Freemasonry was founded in 1717. Mason equals 17. The head of the Freemason headquarters, or whatever you want to call it, in Washington, D.C. is at 1733. And then San Jose, Jesuit town, its initials are S.J., same as Society of Jesus. Jesuit University and high school right down there in the area. Washington, D.C. has Jesuit Georgetown, and I'm sure there's Jesuit University or Jesuit High School in there somewhere as well. But I've been documenting these connections between the Sharks and the Capitals, and then they happen in these 17 years apart. These major events, and with the one exception being the first Stanley Cup Finals appearance, but because of the lockout, the Sharks' first Stanley Cup appearance was 17 seasons after the Capitals' first Stanley Cup Finals appearance, even though it was 18 years later. Things get a little messy there. But I do want to talk about a little bit about Macklin Celebrini, who is the first overall pick. Let me open up a new tab here. Right, so in case you missed it, he was drafted #1 overall by the Sharks just earlier this summer. He was born on the day leaving 201 days left in the year. We're going to talk about that number more in this stream. Actually, I guess what we can just go ahead and do is we'll watch this video that I made earlier this summer just to recap on what happened. Discussed in a video a couple months ago. San Jose video on the subject before continuing on with this one if you haven't watched it already. Before the draft, the Sharks named Ryan Warsofsky as their next head coach on Macklin Celebrini's birthday. As I mentioned before, June 13th is the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and the Jesuit Order and San Jose, capital of Silicon Valley, both equal 201. Warsofsky is Jewish, and State of Israel also equals 201. He becomes the first Jewish NHL coach in 32 years, reminding us that there are 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo. San Jose was founded on the day leaving 32 days left in the year, and Celebrini scored 32 goals and recorded 32 assists with Boston University last year. The Sharks' current star is William Eklund, whose last name equals 32. His first career NHL goal made the score of the game 3-2 in the Sharks' 32nd season. The Jesuit motto. And also what's really trippy about that is I made a video about a month before that. That was the first ever Sharks Capitals connection video that I made. And probably the main number I talked about in that video was 32. And I talked about how, up here, I talked about how Alex Ovechkin scored his first goal against the Blue Jackets in a game which they won 3-2. And I talked about why that was so important, like 32 sunrise on the Jesuit logo, and then Ovechkin went on to win the Stanley Cup at age 32. The first finals win that they got in that series was by a score of 3-2. The first win they got in that playoff run was also by the score of 3-2. There's another there's more 32s, but we'll talk about them later. Is Ad Maiorem de Gloriam, which in English translates to for the greater glory of God. This phrase equals 135, and this signing occurred 135 days before Warsofsky's birthday. On June 28th, the Sharks officially drafted Celebrini number 1 overall. June 28th is normally the 179th day of the year, the 41st prime. Sharks equals 41, and they just fired head coach David Quinn after he won 41 games with the team. This was the 30th. Let me go back for a little bit. This is what I'm going to talk about in just a second is really kind of tripping me out. Okay, Ryan Warsofsky was born on October 26th, right? Here it is. Here's his Wikipedia page. Born October 26th. And you'll see all of his head coaching prior to this has been in the AHL or the ECHL. I've talked about this Capital Sharks 17-year connection stuff. So if we go back in time to 2007, where is it? I have to scroll all the way down here. 2007, that's when Bruce Boudreau became head coach of the Capitals. And before that, before he was the head coach of the Capitals, Bruce Boudreau was either coaching in the, well, it looks like those are all minor league teams. I guess he did coach, did he coach in the OHL at all? Maybe not. No, I don't think he coached in the OHL. But he just, he coached in the minor leagues, and then all of a sudden, he's a head coach of the Capitals. What's interesting about this date, November 22nd. You're 9/17/2007 to November 22nd, 2007. That was 66 days later. That was also nine months and 3 days after Alex Ovechkin's birthday. We know how important 93 is. Okay, I'm pretty sure I talk about it later in this video. Yeah, I do. Let's just go to, hold on, let's just go to the 93 part. Hold on. 9. In regards to 93, the Jesuits claim to spread the teachings of Jesus Christ, who was crucified on April 3rd, the 93rd day of the year, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Jesus is the Son of God, not to be confused with the sun in the sky, which is 93 million miles away. A few days later... Right, and that's... I don't think I quite caught it here, but it's because the Sharks' current arena opened in 1993. That's when the Sharks moved from San Francisco to San Jose. Very symbolic number. Not a coincidence. That's also the same year the Dallas Stars moved to Dallas. I talked about that in another video earlier this summer as well, the importance of why they moved to Dallas in 93. Okay, anyways, so it was, 9 months and 3 days, or 66 days later. Ryan Warsofsky's birthday is October 26th. And October 26th is the day leaving 66 days left in the year. Now, I don't really know if there is a really good connection between San Jose and Washington, D.C. with the number 66. I mean, obviously, I know that has to do with the number of the beast stuff, but I mean, I know that Interstate 66 goes through Washington, D.C., but I don't know of a 66 connection with San Jose. But that is kind of trippy. That is around this time, 17 years ago, that the Capitals named Bruce Boudreau as their head coach 66 days after Ovechkin's birthday, and he was a minor league hockey coach. And now, 17 years later, the Sharks hire Ryan Warsofsky as their head coach, who was previously a minor league coach, and he was born on the day leaving 66 days left in the year. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, yeah, the next big number, 34. So Macklin Celebrini was drafted. Actually, let's just play the video. Hired head coach David Quinn after he won 41 games with the team. This was the 34-year anniversary of the groundbreaking of the Sharks' current arena, SAP Center. The Jesuits were formed in 1534, and the Sharks are about to commence their 34th season. The arena... Okay. Sharks are about to commence their 34th season, and that includes the lockout. If you count the lockout as a season, then they count that. this 17 years ago, the Capitals were also in their 34th season. And as I just said, 34 is important because the Jesuits were founded in 1534. Also, if you write out, we were talking about Freemasonry earlier. Freemasonry is 139. That's the 34th prime number. Macklin Celebrini drafted exactly 34 years after the groundbreaking of the Sharks Arena, which opened in the 93, that symbolic number. But anyways, they made the playoffs this year. And if you look at the date that they made the playoffs, it's the last day of the regular season, April 5th. So we'll do that. From April 5th, from Alex Ovechkin's birthday until April 5th, 2008 was exactly 201 days later. And of course, the Jesuit order, 201. No, not a surprise. And also you can write that date as 5/4, and Jesuit order is 54. And they also won that game 3-1. Hockey 31. And then after that, they played I did a live stream on this earlier, so Alex Ovechkin, born September 17th. That's known as the Constitution. So we like Constitution Day. Constitution Day is also September 17th. But the thing that's interesting about the Constitution is that September 17th is when it was created, but it wasn't effective until March 4th, which is a date written 3/4. And what's interesting is that the Constitution was signed in Philadelphia, and then probably like a decade after this, because that's where the capital was at the time, about a decade after this, the capital moved to Washington, D.C., and what do you know? The Washington Capitals played Philadelphia in Ovechkin's first ever playoff series. That's not a coincidence either. Yeah, so no surprise that the Constitution became effective on that symbolic date of 3/4. 3/4 is also it's also the day leaving 302 days left in the year, and that's a lot like 32, 302, 32. Let me just put those back up there. I did talk about this earlier, actually. Let me type this in. 3/4/1789. Right, because it's not only is it the day leaving 302 days left in the year, but it also had 32 date numerology. And the Capitals ended up going out 3-4, and they lost that game 3-2. And also, I might have a very blurry memory, but I have a very vague memory of watching the highlights of this game, and some guy on the Capitals had a chance to win it in overtime, but like he didn't have his stick in the right position or something. And that's just more evidence that the Capitals they did not have the script to win that game. I'm not going to waste my time going to look for that. Okay. Oh, and also another thing that I don't think I've mentioned previously. William Eklund was drafted in 2021. That was on July 23rd, right? Let's do 7/21, 2020. Oh, 7/23, 2021. That had 71 and 35 date numerology. That was not something that I noticed before. Catholic 71-35, and now he's playing. Now his teammate is number 71. Okay, what else? We talked about 93. Okay, and the Joe Thornton's number retirement, 144 days after his birthday. Yeah, William Eklund wears number 72. San Jose, California equals 72. as well as Jesuit order. Did I mention that? Jesuit order equals 140. Yeah, I did mention that. Okay, now, anyways, I've talked about all of this. How it was very symbolic that Ovechkin clinched his first ever playoff spot 201 days after his birthday. And then, I need to look at there's something significant about the date that they got eliminated. Hold on. Actually, first let me look at the... Right, and then that means that Ovechkin's first ever playoff game. So he clinched his first ever playoff spot 201 days after his birthday. And then his first ever playoff game was 5 months and 6 days before his next birthday. Now, I forget, is Freebasing Rehab 150? No, it's just 158. Sorry. Okay, so there's nothing there. But when they eventually got eliminated, it was on the 22nd. There was something about that. Oh, yeah, 21 weeks in 1 day. 211 is the 47th prime number. 211, 47th prime. Yeah, that's when they got eliminated. There is also something that I forgot to mention. When the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, back when we were talking about 34, the Capitals were trailing 3-2 to the Lightning. Also, another thing about that year's Capitals, it was either their 34, sorry, it was either their 43rd or 44th season, depending on who you ask. Lightning equals 44, DC equals 43. Most of the numbers revolved around 43. Let's see if the Wikipedia page for them is still the same for that year. Yeah, 43rd season, but then the season before, 43rd season. Yeah, that was one of the, and then then it goes to their 45th. 43rd to 45th. Yeah, I remember this was one of the first things that I noticed um, when I'd first come across this work, and I was like, oh, DC 43, was it their 43rd season? I went and checked, and I saw it was. And then I checked this previous season, and it's also their 43rd. And that was one of the things that made me realize, okay, yeah, these games are definitely scripted, and these Wikipedia pages are definitely manipulated. They might not be correct, but they have the information that they want you to know. They want you to know that it was their 43rd season, even if their previous season was also their 43rd. Yeah, and then you gotta love Evgeny Kuznetsov led the team with 56 assists, and 105 points. I talked about 105 because Ovechkin's birthday is the day, leaving 105 days left in the year, and 105 is the 14th triangular number, and 43 is the 14th prime number. It was 14 years after Ovechkin was drafted in the Capitals' 43rd season of play. He also made his debut on 10/5 and became captain of the Capitals on 1/05. Okay, I need to get back on track here. Anyways, this whole thing with 201 and okay, well actually I need to talk about Macklin Celebrini for a little bit. So this guy is born the day, leaving 201 days left in the year, and he's got his name equals 77. Also, if you just write his last name equals 77. He played his college hockey in Boston, which equals 77. And I also mentioned in another video, let me pull it up here. This one here. Well, all right, let me go forward a little bit. Where is it? Right. Okay. So San Jose was founded in 1777, and also the um, was that the 77th NBA final? No, I don't think it was. But hold on, what was it? It was yeah, and then the Catholic Mission right down the street from well, it's not really right down the street, but close enough to where the Sharks play. That was founded in 1777 as well. Um, Anyways, he's got this huge 77 connection. And we also know the big connection with Washington, D.C. in 77, with it being on the 77th meridian. Anyway, so let's pull those back up. Macklin, Celebrini, 77. And Celebrini is also 77. Coming up in a few days is October 15th. October 15th will be the day leaving, 77 days left in the year. And it's also, so this is a leap year, so it will be the 289th day of the year. 289 is 17 times 17. And also 289 is 201 in base 8 counting. Or sorry, not base 8, base 12. Sorry. And the Sharks are playing the Stars that night, October 15th. I might actually, no, I don't want to go. But because I do have class then, but the teacher said that uh, she might cancel next week's class. But I kind of don't really want to go. But also, I kind of do want to go, but I also don't want to go. I'd only go just to expose what's going on, so I don't think that's. We'll see. Anyways, stars equals 77. I think that this game will be very important. This game will be very symbolic. Playing the Stars on the day leaving 77 days left in the year will be very symbolic for him. And remember, I said Celebrini scored 32 goals and 32 assists last year. Remember, the Stars won their only Stanley Cup in their 32nd season of play. That's if you include their time spent in Minnesota. Conn Smythe winner was Joe Nieuwendyk, 32 years old at the time. Yeah, 32 sunrise on the Jesuit logo, Texas Independence Day 3/2. And Lone Star is 32 as well. Okay, but all of this, so will that be the first day he'll score? We'll see. Another possibility is they play the Ducks on October 12th. And Ducks also has that 77 connection. Ducks equals 77. And October 12th is William Eklund's birthday. Oh, maybe I didn't. I thought I had it up. Oh, here it was. Yeah, William Eklund's birthday, October 12th. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Maybe that'll be the day Celebrini gets his first point. Maybe he gets his first point here against the Ducks. Ducks 77, and then maybe scores his first goal against the Stars. We'll see. But either way, I think this game against the Stars will be very symbolic. I mean, most Sharks Stars games are symbolic because behind the Capitals and the Sharks, I'd say the Stars are the third most Jesuit team in the league. Okay, now the one thing I wanted to talk about, or not, I shouldn't say the one thing, but the kind of the main thing that I was talking about at the beginning was all these 17 connections. So I said that 17 years ago, well, right now it's only 16, but I guess by the time we get to the spring, it will be 17 years ago that Ovechkin made the playoffs for the first time in 2008. Does that mean the Sharks will make the playoffs for the first time in 2025? Well, something that is interesting is that we know that they like to script. They've kind of scripted Ovechkin's and Eklund's careers together in a way. So we know that Ovechkin clinched his first playoff spot. Hold on, I just want to see one thing. Okay, there's nothing there. We know that was 201 days after his birthday. All right, the Sharks' last game of the season is on April 16th. We go from William Eklund's birthday to April 16th. That is a span of 187 days. Could that be? And 187 is important because, shoot, is it Society of Jesus? I can't remember. Yeah, Society of Jesus 187. Could that be the date that Sharks clinched their first playoff spot in the William Eklund era? Because remember, Society of Jesus 187, 56, 79. William Eklund, William Eklund 56-79, where the Sharks Arena opened on the 7th of September, 7/9. Got sent back to Sweden in his rookie year, 56 on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And then that would set this if the Sharks do clinch a playoff spot on that day on April 16th. I was trying to figure out what would be 201 days after his birthday. I think it's sometime in early May. Yeah, so early May, or maybe April 30th if they're doing it by span. I think you could look at it as that's maybe the day they get eliminated in the first round, because that would be just about 2 weeks later. Yeah, April 16th. Yeah, and then the first round is usually over 2 weeks after the regular season is over. That would make sense for them to get eliminated on that day, maybe around then. Although the one thing that makes me wonder why the Sharks might not make the playoffs this year is because what's very confusing is that, and I've talked about this before, and I showed this with the Capitals, how, hold on, let me go back there. Where did I have the, shoot, I must have closed that page. But if I go, yeah, remember I was talking about the Capitals with their discrepancy in the Wikipedia page saying what season it is, how they played their 43rd season twice because the lockout of 04-05 is basically kind of messed up the count as to what season it is. I mean, if you go to what it is now it says 51st season, 50th season of play. And it only does that for a few teams. The Sharks are in their 34th season, but it's their 33rd season of play, which means next year will be their 35th season and 34th season of play. And remember, 35 is important because Catholic is 35, and then Celebrini wears 71, and Eklund was drafted on 71-35 date numerology. And of course, we know that the Jesuit order is a Catholic order. But then again, the Jesuits were founded in 34. So that's making me wonder if the Sharks, maybe they won't make the playoffs this year, but they'll make it the year after instead. But if they're going by this 17-year script, whatever you want to call it, which is proven to be pretty consistent, if you ask me, that would suggest that the Sharks would make the playoffs this year. But again, as I said, that lockout 04-05 kind of threw everything off. It's thrown off the season count. Like this was 18 years later, but it was 17 seasons later. We'll have to see. Let's see. Is anyone saying anything in the chat? We'll see about the World Series. I'm not ever since the Orioles got eliminated, and now I know it's not about it's not scripted around the Baltimore bridge collapse. Um, I'm not sure exactly what it is now, but actually, let me. I have, if the Dodgers do win it, it's definitely something attributed to Pearl Harbor. I'll say that. If the Dodgers do win it, it'll be kind of it will be symbolic. There will be Pearl Harbor symbolism if the Dodgers do win it. Dodgers are losing right now. I know there was that one thing about the Tigers. I think if they won 13 games in the postseason, which they needed to do to win the World Series, and I think they'd get to 70 playoff wins, and Tigers is 70. But 70 is not. I don't know what 70 is important this year because all the Illuminati numbers were important. We know that Variant Illuminati 127. Remember, Pearl Harbor was on 12/7, and that's why I'm thinking if the Dodgers win it, it's definitely going to be a Pearl Harbor tribute because they do have Otani and Yamamoto, and likely to add more Japanese players. Oh, this is unrelated now. We're on to baseball now, but because I was thinking about this the other day, and the last time the Yankees won the World Series, Hideki Matsui was the MVP. Yeah, 2009 World Series MVP. And that was the 105th World Series, right? 100. We were just talking about 105. 105th World Series. The Illuminati? The Order of Illuminati is 105. And remember the Yankees, if the Yankees do win the World Series this year, they will get their 105th win of the season. But then again, if the Dodgers make the World Series, they'll enter the World Series with 105 wins. So that's... And there's one other thing with this. It was the Order of Illuminati 105. Yeah, Hideki Matsui wins MVP of the World Series, the 105th World Series. They called 9/11 a new Pearl Harbor. Right out 9/11 is 105, and is the Yankees' first World Series championship since 9/11. It was that. I was saying that 9/11 is 51, and the Illuminati was founded on May 1st. Yeah, I think we know who was behind 9/11. Yeah, we'll see. Yes, with baseball though, now that the Orioles are out, we know it's still going to be an Illuminati ritual, but it wasn't with the bridge collapse. It was something else. Okay, I think I've said enough for tonight. I have to be up tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens with the script with the Sharks. We'll see if we go back up to. We'll see if Celebrini gets a goal in either one of these two games. I'm leaning towards this one to get his first NHL goal. Yeah, as I said, we'll see what happens. Catch you later.